22. How are you doing, good people? Hope you're okay. And a Friday situation like this one is when we wrap up some of those top stories as they've been transpiring. Have I said Mwasizemtia? Hope you're okay. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko, and I've been having some huge discussion with Marija Andrew, who has been driving the show since morning, and you will definitely be part of it. Well, meanwhile, besides that, the Zabo platform is there for you to invest in securities and bonds by dialing *292#. That is the USSD code for the MTN subscribers. And definitely there, you can easily select a bond or a security that you want to invest in too, and it will become very easy for you, trust me. And it's that easy to invest your money, your future. Andrew, I think tomorrow will be October. I just don't think it will be 1st October.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of...
This month has 30 days, right?
Yeah, 30 days, September.
Yeah, okay.
Every time when I'm losing my count of days in month, I remember that song we used to recite in primary.
Which song was that?
The song was saying 30 days of September, April, June, and November. Then they said the rest have 31, apart from February.
February, yeah.
Which has, sometimes it has 28 or 29.
29, yeah. Yeah.
So,
true.
But in the last few years, we've been having a Feb with the same days. But now, as we're looking back at the month of September, winding it up with our weekly roundup this time round, we've got a report here regarding elderly persons grant. I think this one is also another big one. For all the viewers out there. Yeah. Government is giving out senior people 60 to 79 years of age 5 billion shillings. Now here there is a goal of enhancing their quality of life through establishment of income generating enterprises, as well as helping in more of saying that the elderly people are benefiting from government initiatives.
From that. Actually, first of all, I'll say that this initiative is realistic. Because when you look at the population of Uganda, the elderly take up the least because we are largely dominated by the young age, the youth, and most of these people are dependents. Like they are depending on the people that are working, actually working out for them to ensure that they can survive. But also that aspect of income generating enterprises, I believe it's really very positive on their side, because really on that age there is nothing much you can do besides like you waking up every day, you go to work and on a large basis. But what I really liked about it is that it's the 5 billion is enough distributed to them, because their population is not as much as compared to the youth. And by the way, it's the responsibility, if you to compare the developed world, the taxes we pay on a daily basis, what the government is doing right now is returning back the taxes you've been paying to cater for you in your old age. And that is something so remarkable for that. And I believe this is going to be life transforming, because some of them don't even have money from National Social Security Fund.
My worry is, though, sometimes you get to realize, what if the money gets swindled, or the money doesn't reach the beneficiaries, especially the elderly people, because, for example, most of them don't have anywhere to run to. It's not that it's not like they don't have representatives in government or parliament, but then at the end of the day, when the money comes out, you don't expect a 70-year-old to fight for money. Just like we saw young children yesterday strike because of the oil.
The oil,
yes.
The European Union.
Speaking of that, the elderly on October 1st, 2022 in Nebi, there will be, that is tomorrow, there is going to be a commemoration of the International Day of the Elderly tomorrow in Nebi district, and there will be a theme, resilience of older persons to cope up in the changing world. So the world is steadily changing, and this time around you get to realize, even in Uganda, at 60, back then people would look for retirement. Now there is no way you're going to retire. There is no money. So you're supposed to keep pushing.
To keep working.
Sometimes you get to realize life becomes even easier when you're 40.
By the way, you're right.
At that time, you're just enjoying your sweat that you've had since 20, 30. Now you're in 40 years. That is when you're now feeling like you've made it in life. Now at 60, you feel like you're still going to work. We've seen a lot of successful entrepreneurs in Uganda only becoming successful at 50. So that shows shows you if you've just become rich at 50, there is no way you're going to tell me to retire at 60.
You talk about 50. You heard of the famous food place where people go and eat chicken. The person that founded that actually.
The KFC.
60 years.
And that is when someone makes the profits after sweating for all those years trying to beat the market.
Yeah.
So that clearly shows you sometimes things are not easy and the world has tremendously changed. But away from that, Andrew, there was also something to do with refugee skilling programs. This also happened this week. The Office of the Prime Minister and the Comprehensive Refugee Response Framework and the Secretariat came out and discussed the sustainable development ideas for the refugee settlement. Now, the office has so far committed $1.83 billion dollars for the support of the refugees. And the State Minister for Disaster and Relief Preparedness, Esther Anyakun, revealed that there is a settlement, there is a refugee settlement center in Nyakabare, which is going to be closed on 31st.
October.
And this one is due to lack of money.
Now, this is very worrying. Remember, of course, refugees, by the time they come to our country, they have come to seek asylum, because probably, and actually, some people are not refugees in those countries simply because of war, because sometimes we cling refugees to war. But if I also leave the country, Uganda, I go to Kenya, I'm a refugee, it could be economic hardships that are taking me there. And when I reach there, I expect to see a difference, but still, if I reach there and I don't see the difference I expected, I might turn out. Remember, I'm not going to turn back to my home country, Uganda. I'm going to stay there, and at the end of the day, I'm going to end up in crime. So if the fact they say that the $1.83 billion that closing that refugee camp because of that, it's quite worrying, because when these people, we've seen countries that have developed as a result of skilling of the refugees, and this is something I believe they should find all possible ways to ensure that. I don't support this decision, in my opinion.
And well, I think the other reasons as to why is because of the current economic
inflation,
because they say inflation. But I think as the government, these are some of the areas we need to focus more. For instance, with the current situations of inflation, this is not only in Uganda, it is everywhere.
It's global.
But when you look at the refugees, they are not working because they are in these settlements.
That is it. And
government or non-government organizations, or we have the United Nations throwing in these funds. We've got international donors, and if government cannot manage to maintain them or maintain these camps, they can still seek for they can actually still seek for funds from the other countries.
Yeah, because if a country is hosting refugees, there is a fund that you get from the United Nations to cater for those refugees. So I don't really, and by the way, inflation, now if you say that fuel prices, okay, this is my opinion. I no longer take it like a big factor because it's everywhere.
True.
That is something now we are living with.
Even the big economies are struggling.
Exactly, But the thing is, how do we find ways to survive within these hardships? We cannot give excuse of not giving aid to those that need it, putting, inflation, like giving inflation as an excuse, because it's here to stay. And of course, projections, when you go through, when you reach, sometimes I watch international media stations and I get worried. People are predicting recessions. So what are we going to do about that? Shall we die and starve?
And it's not something that you can just quickly switch off from. But I hope at the end of the day, government can, before they close their settlement camp, because you will ask yourself where the refugees are going to go.
Yes.
These are questions. You're closing 31st. Either way, you're going to push them to another refugee settlement. How about if you push them to another refugee settlement and you cannot still maintain them because the numbers now increased
every day, increasing
in the new settlement. But we hope that government can come out and address that, or non-government organizations can still stick on helping these particular refugees in the country. Andrew, then we also had a report regarding the Uganda Revenue Authority opening up a laboratory to test quality of goods. I think when we talk about goods quality in Uganda, it takes us back to the search for genuine products.
Yeah, actually, why I'm saying that, do you realize that of recent there has been outbreak of diseases which we never used to have in Uganda? I mean, people are having cancer, they tell you, you go out, you have this. And when we examine this, I was having an interaction. It's because of what we are consuming, substandard products that are coming from there. Remember, these products which are being put into the country, they have levels, you know, level 1, 2, 3, 4. And the people that, when we import them here, what we are importing is what has been dumped that side, you know, and it's the reason as why the lifespan is actually reducing in Uganda regarding products. Because why I like this particular aspect, I'm just focusing on the health side, because if you have a sick population, there is no way spending too much money on treating. It's quite expensive, you know, and you find that even some of our medical expertise cannot handle some of these sicknesses. So you find that one problem leads to another. So the laboratory testing project, and I believe it's going to have impacts in the long run as a result of that. This is helping other sectors. Like I said, if these genuine products, fake products coming to the country, not checked, again, it's going to come back to the Ugandans being diseased with funny infections, and at the end of the day, it's going to lead to increased government expenditure again to treat these infections. And we don't have the expertise. We are going to get expatriates who are expensive and not easy to maintain.
Okay, but the move by the Uganda Revenue Authority to open up the lab is to ensure that we have quality of goods on the market, goods that are also coming through from the other countries, also goods that are being manufactured in here, to avoid anything to do with fake products on the market. So the fight is not only with the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, but also the taxman, and also looking at the UCC also is having a move to fight fake phones and fake communication gadgets. So on the other side of the Uganda Revenue Authority, speaking of the fake products, to as well ensure that Ugandans remit taxes for goods that come in too. So you're supposed to remit taxes for also a genuine product.
And do you know that those products now, like for example electronics, like a fridge, you know, when it gets very old, when those gadgets get so old, their emissions, they emit carbon emissions which are dangerous to your health. Same as those mobile phones. When the UCC took that initiative, you know, there is a way those waves, once the phone gets issues, they affect, before you know it, you find that you get, that's why people collapse of tumors, you know, you have a brain cancer. It's as a result of negligence of not taking steps to avoid such products.
And now there is also value addition on coffee. As when we look at the fact that globally, Uganda is one of the is one of the largest exporters of coffee on the continent here. And when you look at the fact that we grow some of the best Arabica coffees in the world, and the coffee industry is currently underperforming though, and when compared to other coffee exporting nations like Brazil, for example. And building a structured demand will involve encouraging value addition at the farm level so that more Ugandan coffee producers, processors, investors can benefit. And for someone to understand more about value addition is using that coffee seed to at least make more out of it. It may be, I see there are some beverages that actually made, and they have some coffee in
coffee,
there.
Yes, coffee.
We've
Spirits,
got to spirits. We've got to see powdered coffee for drinking and all that. So that is a lot of value addition. Value addition should start right from the grassroots, from the farmers. They need to be accountable as
for
well.
that. Yeah, actually on that particular aspect, I remember, I think it was 2 months back when the Private Sector Foundation Uganda and the Uganda Coffee Development Authority made a memorandum of understanding, and of course the major aspect was still looking at value addition of coffee, because our coffee needs to have an identity. Now here, I'm trying to also look at the dimension of exporting, exporting the coffee, you know, you get that. And so value addition is something that will be very, very, very important, because that is something that we look up to ensure that it's really efficient. What's your opinion on that?
Well, and speaking of which, I will still take my side on the fact that we as Ugandans need to encourage our farmers. We need to show them that, well, they are not only doing subsistence farming, but this time around focus on commercial farming or commercial agriculture. Because now with the current situation where people really need money, you get to a point where you have to realize that you have to do everything that is generating income. And so farmers are affected by some of the commodity prices, but so we need to ensure that at least in the long run, they also benefit from it. But then lastly, Andrew, as we're summing up, is the biochemical situation in Uganda. And we also had a guest earlier in the week talking about biochemical fertilizers and how important they are. And just a quick comment on this one, he did say that we do have a huge space for biochemicals in the business, the biochemical business. So it's just that very few people have looked at it in that way, and it's a lucrative business that if anyone comes out there and engages in it, it is easier for them to
get money. Okay, I think the biochemicals, I wouldn't. Okay, in my honest opinion, is that of course these fertilizers, you know, they are really good, but the only challenge comes in that once you apply them in a soil, it loses its natural nutrients. Literally, if you were to see yield from that particular soil again, you'll have to apply them. So it's more like there is that attachment, and at the end of the day, you find that it's being money. You're going to spend money. You know, recently we had issues with genetically modified organisms. You know, GMOs. So. I mean, my opinion, it's not something I would really, just me. I'm not saying it's the actual truth, just an opinion, simply. Okay. And of course, it's been the topic of discussion with Joram Paul Sonko, and of course, going through the previous topics that have been making headlines throughout the week. And of course, today is the last day of the month. Hope you're making some new prospects regarding the new month, but also don't forget that we are coming to the end of the year. Just about 3 months left. 2 months. So if I may ask you, all the resolutions you've made, what have you achieved so far? So that's something for you to really take in and evaluate yourself efficiently. Channel 394 Go TV, channel 372 on DSTV, and on our social media platforms at Smart24TV Live, Twitter, Smart24TV, Facebook. And of course, you will be able to catch us at whatever part of the globe you will be at. We thank, of course, the entire team, SMB team, all the personnel responsible for collecting this content. I'm grateful for the production team with Babu Isa and Pamela Nasanga on the production, responsible to gather this content that we deliver. And of course, much respect to the people in the control room that make sure that everything runs on smoothly on air. Much more respect to the entire SMB team.
Someone said you should mention John. There's a gentleman in the IT called John.
Of course, John in the IT department right there. We really appreciate all the people. Of course, it's teamwork to see this perfection coming on screen right here.
I need to also mention we have Farm Smart coming up tonight, Friday.
And of course, we are launching a new program today. That's Farm Smart. It's going to be produced by, done by Chris Chitaka. Is it Chitaka?
Yeah,
Chris Chitaka Haman. And of course, this is somebody that has been working in the TX room. Very amazing, surprising talent on Smart24 TV. We are so versatile regarding that. We'll return next week bigger and better. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.
True that government does not have sufficient money to make provisions for Office of Disaster Preparedness. But one, it is important to know that the Office of Disaster Preparedness is part of the Office of the Prime Minister. So even if a small provision is apparently made for Office of Disaster Preparedness, government is always willing to complement that budget depending on the on the need. Like when there are heavy rains across the country, you find a lot of floods, mudslides, leading to internally displaced people into camps. So even sometimes government will be forced to go beyond the budget. Two, Office of the President is willing and has always helped to supplement or carry the burden, because you see, if there is like in the recent case in Kasika, Rukoki, Kasese district, where we lost 16 people, the president comforted the affected people with 5 million for every homestead which lost a person, and 1 million for any person who was hospitalized. So that is not apparently in the budget of Office of Disaster Preparedness. So chamazima ntino budget wetujikola. It is true that when we do the budgets, you may find a small provision, but the president is always out to support, to carry the burden, because you cannot say people are displaced, since there is no budget, let them die. And we want to thank the president for this spirit. And that's why you find sometimes people complain that the budget for the Office of the President is big. He doesn't use it. He supports the people of Uganda. So it should not worry us that the provisions in the budget is normally small. The Office of the Prime Minister in the entirety is always willing to help, and then the Office of the President. And of course, the donor community. Like now we have just had Indo-Africa supporting, Save the Children has supported, and many other, Red Cross, and many other organizations have supported the people who were affected early this month. So the figure provision in the budget should not worry us so much. What do we mean by coming in or preparedness? The fact that it is reflected in a fiscal year that government plans to fund disaster preparedness, it means it cares. It may not happen, yes, the event may not occur, or it may occur in proportions beyond the budget. So it wouldn't be right to say government only comes in when issues arise. And two, when we say disaster preparedness, these are temporary occurrences. They are not permanent events. They occur unexpectedly and in particular areas. So how prepared would government be, other than having a infrastructure in place, that there is an office charged with that, and that there is a vote, and that when it occurs, government is all out to help? Yes.